As we get into this, our next opponent, San Diego State, a lot of similar traits to Michigan State. The fact that their DNA is very simple. They're going to run a football. And they have a good running attack, a little bit of a play-action football team offensively. Do a lot of things well, don't beat themselves. Yesterday, I showed the team the tape of them down with 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter, 4th and 9. They converted, and from there, they win the game 28-14. So they're very, very, very well coached defensively, similar scheme, a lot of movement by their front. They've won a lot of football games, and they know how to win. I mean, they have a winning, Rocky Long has built a winning tradition, and they know how to win. They're very capable football team, so we got our work cut out for us. They do a great job of taking the ball over the last 3 or 4 years. You can look at the numbers; they're really good defensively. So we got to play really well. This is our first road game, which is new for us. We haven't been in that atmosphere. We've had the comforts of home the last 2 games, which has been great. Now we got to go on the road, try to win a football game.
When you hired Danny,
yes,
you guys didn't have a deep history together. Like when you were in the NFL, you knew about the guys that you were going to hire.
Yeah.
You didn't have a history with them. What was it that when you got a chance to actually sit down and talk to him, what was it that stood out?
Well, I followed San Diego State because that's my alma mater, obviously, and I knew a lot about Danny and Coach Rocky Long. You know, when you're sitting at the desk that I sit at in Bristol for 9 years, as you watch games, college games as well as pro games, you follow who the assistants are, the coaches. You kind of follow them, you know, because that's just what you do as a coach. Because you always get calls when you sit in the seat I sat in as a former head coach from people looking for coaches, and whether it's a college coach, whether it's a pro coach, because you're always tied to people, and so you do that, and you keep a list of guys that you think are good coaches. And when you visit college campuses, which I did in the springs for a lot of different colleges, went there for 2 or 3 days and evaluated them and sat with the coaches. You just hear coaches talk, and you watch guys. And when I decided to take the job, there was a list of guys that I had. I already had a list of offensive guys and defensive guys. One of the offensive guys was already here, knowing he was probably going to leave sooner or later. I had a list. He left. Well, Coach Likens was the next guy. He was the next guy on the list. Defensively, I've watched him from afar, and I like the concept of what they're trying to do and the fact that it's a 3-3-5. So in college football, because of all the multi-formations and the personnel groups, you don't have to change defensively. You can keep 5 defenders on the field at the back end of your defense. With that, you still have the ability to rush 4 or 5 or bring pressure and run your coverages. So it was unique in the sense that I said that's really the way to go in college football. If you can master that defense. Now, a lot of people play 4-3, different concepts, but it's a space game. And so with that being said, you have to have athletes that can cover in space. Linebackers and safeties have to be able to cover in space. You can't have a guy just a run player anymore. So that was unique. And watching him and just watching the numbers over the years, he was my first call. I mean, I called Rocky, he was my first phone call. When I said, okay, who do you like? I said, I got 5 guys. The first guy is Danny. I like their defense. I think it fits my mindset of how to play college defense in college football. So I'm glad it worked out.
For this game, how much does it help having Danny in particular?
Well, it helps and it hurts because they know Danny too, right? And so it's kind of it's kind of like when I can remember, and I know his manner, I know Danny's emotions right now. The hardest game for me to ever coach against an opponent was Tony Dungy. I mean, I was like miserable all week because the questions were coming up. How Tony, and Tony was my mentor, and we came in the league together. The guy's like my brother, and we had to play him. And I was like, I don't like, and we were fortunate enough the first time we played him, we won, obviously, but he got me back the next time. But it's tough because he's been under coach a long time, and coach gave him an opportunity when there was an opportunity at times, and he's been in that system, so he knows it. So they know Danny too. So that's going to kind of be the chess match of it all.
As we were leaving today, we heard the crowd noise being piped in. What are the biggest challenges with playing on the road that you have to be aware of?
Well, you're right. The noise of the signal calling. We did it, last week because we knew defensively your crowd is going to be in the game, and because of the concepts we run on defense, if they change the formation or motion or shift, we have the ability to go to another coverage. Okay, so there's noise. So Danny's not in the huddle. They got to communicate that. It has to be communicated. And it's dicey because it's loud, and so you got to have hand signals and you got to have certain things you got to do. So we made sure that was covered in practice, that we were used to doing that.
So is it harder on the offense then? When you...
Yeah, it's always harder on the offense.
Yeah.
But see, for offensively, when you're at home, it's not. Because the crowd's going to get quiet. Defensively, that's when they get noisy, which we want. But we still have to adjust as well, so you got to communicate. On the road, more difficult for offenses, especially if you're backed up. Now, San Diego, my recollection, they haven't changed the stadium since I was there. It's open, but they're going to get a good crowd there, and it can be loud. I remember going in there for playoff games, playing those guys. It was loud. I mean, it can get loud. So it'll be a good crowd.
Yeah, so how prepared do you think they are for the poise aspect of handling that?
Well, that's what we got to find out. We haven't played a road game. That's something. Everything we do now is new for me with these guys because I haven't felt them. I haven't felt their reactions of what's going to happen. And I think as the game is being played out, you watch your sideline, you watch your mannerisms of players, and if you watch me on the sideline, I'm always dealing with players within the framework of when calls not being made. I'm going to a certain group because I've seen certain things and trying to visit with them about here's a situation and always explaining things in a way that is very calm, very direct, and they listen. You've got to get to the stage. I've always said in a football game, I'm almost opposite of the reaction to the crowds and everybody in the crowd. As people get loud, I talk real soft. And that makes them focus in. I don't holler, I kind of talk real soft to them. And they all have to come in there and look at me. And I look at their eyes and I tell them what's happening. And it works because everyone else is hollering. Fans are hollering, everybody's screaming. There's a lot of chaos on the sideline. Well, why do you control the chaos? Someone has to be a voice of reason. Hopefully I'm that voice. But when I speak to them, I speak to them almost like I'm speaking to you guys. Real soft kind of like. And it makes them focus on what I'm saying rather than get caught up in all the other stuff.
So you talk about San Diego State, obviously they're very familiar with the defense that you're going to play. Is it tempting or easy not to be extra creative in a week like this? Or?
Well, I think what you have to understand is, and I tell the players this all the time, and I'm a big believer in this, just do what you do. Just do what you do. Don't not going to change who we are because we play San Diego State and they're familiar with some things we do. But we do some things different too. I mean, I've kind of been in the kitchen with them, looking at some things and going, well, I don't like that sauce right there. There's other kind of sauce, right? My wife won't let me get in her kitchen, by the way, but defensively they let me get in the kitchen. So there's some things we do a little bit different, and it's okay. It's part of it. You got to understand that when you have a head coach who's a defensive guy, so that's how it works.
You mentioned after Michigan State that eventually the guys who make plays made plays. Manny and McKeel, but Eno made a couple on that final drive for the field goal. Moving past the injuries from last year, what do you see as his ceiling?
He's tough. He's a tough football player, a very focused football player. He's one of the guys when they install the runs, and this is where he's at, because he wants to know what the people in front of him are doing. He sits in the offensive line. He sits in their front row with the offensive line. So he wants to see exactly what these guys are doing when we're on run plays, because the back has a lot to do with the success of the offensive line. How he presses the hole creates running lanes for him, and the fact that the lineman can get on the second level to get to the backers. If he doesn't do that, then the backers can flow free. The more you can bring the linemen, the linebackers into play, thinking the runner's going to play and hit that hole, it creates angles. It creates other holes, because now a lot of running backs don't realize that, but he's smart enough to figure that out. So he's a complete player. He can run inside, he can run outside, and you made the point, and I made the point. 2 big first downs on that drive. Big time plays, which helps.
Tressa, and then Jeff, and then we got to get Coach to a TV production meeting.
Oh, really? Sound like I'm in Bristol.
Might as well be.
Sorry.
Coach, if you had to pinpoint the biggest challenge your team will have to overcome, would it be playing on the road, or what about San Diego State? What kind of challenges do they present?
Well, it's the same as last week. A team that's won a lot of games, that are comfortable in close games, and we're going to have to get comfortable. Sometimes when you have a high flying offense and you're not in the 20s before halftime, you get like, what's wrong? Nothing's wrong. It's just you don't get in the 20s all the time. You have to play. So we had to play that kind of game last week, where it was every completion, every 5 yards was a big gain. And for these guys, especially offenses in college football, it seems like if you don't make a 10-yard gain every time you touch it, like you're disappointed. Well, they had to play a whole half where there wasn't a lot going on. So this could be the same type of the game. Now, we need to make some explosive plays because we have some explosive receivers. That helps you, but you can't panic when things don't operate the way you want to operate. You just got to continue to play.
So for your offense to have worked against Danny's defense all this camp for 2 games now, how much does that give you a leg up going into this game?
Well, it helps you because it's confusing to play this defense with the fact that all the movement. But with that being said, there are different players on that side. You know the system, but you don't know the call. You don't know what they're going to do. You don't know what stunt they're going to run. I mean, that'd be fun if you knew what they were going to run, but you don't. So I think for us offensively, and we haven't been consistent at this. We haven't been consistent at sustaining drives. We've kind of, at times we sustain something, or we get a foul, or we get ourselves into a 3rd and long and we don't convert. So we have to be more consistent on offense. And I think this defense can give you problems. It can get you behind the chains, and we were behind the chains a lot against Michigan State until about the middle of the third quarter. Then we got our rhythm, but they can throw you out of your rhythm.